Good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you guys had a nice long weekend. I hope you didn't do any work on Friday and relaxed and enjoyed your family. All right, so what we're going to be doing today, last week we talked about what kind of relationships form when I have two tangent lines that hit a circle and then they form an angle, they intersect. Okay, and we talked about those. So today we're going to look at some other relationships. So right here, what you see is a relationship between a secant line and a tangent line. So my tangent line's right here, it hits the circle once, and then my secant line is right here and it hits the circle twice in two different locations. Okay, so what I see here is, and then my tangent and my secant now form an angle, and you'll see that in blue, okay, right here. So what I notice is my minor arc RP is 120 degrees, and it tells me that right over here. Okay, and I can move this and get different angles, but I'm just going to keep it right here because it shows it very well. So my minor arc is 120 degrees, and my major arc is 240. And what I notice is when I have a secant line and it intersects with a tangent line at the point of tangency, which is point P. So that's where the tangent line hits the circle. I notice that my angle it creates is half of the minor arc. Okay, so I notice that angle RPS is half of arc RP. What I also notice is if I'm looking at our angle RPQ, which is the larger angle, okay, then I notice that if this angle here is 60, then this angle is going to be 120, and I notice that that is half of the measure of PTR, okay, of arc PTR. So that's one relationship here. Another relationship is when we have two secant lines. So I know they're two secant lines because each line is hitting the circle twice, and they're intersecting, forming angle E. And what I'm noticing here is I see that my major arc, which is CA, is 120.8 degrees, and it tells me that right here. And then I notice that my minor arc here, BD, is 61.8 degrees, okay? And then angle E is 29.5. And what I notice on this is if I take my major arc and subtract my minor arc from it. So if I take 120.8 and subtract 61.8, I get 59 degrees. And if I take half of 59 degrees, that gives me 29.5. Okay, so that relationship is the same as what it was for the two tangents to find x. Okay, to find x, I had to take 1/2 of the major arc minus the minor arc. And the same thing here if I have two secant lines. All right, so I'm going to show you some other relationships that are made. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead, and you don't have to worry about writing this down because I have a hard copy already written down for you so that you can just pull that up and look at it while you're doing your homework. Okay, so the measurement of angle X, like we said, equals the 1/2 of the major arc, which is ACB, minus the minor arc, which is AB. Okay. I also know about two tangents is the measure of arc AB, and this is from last week, equals 180 minus x, minus my angle, whatever it is. And the measurement of my major arc, which is ACB, equals 180 plus x. So there we go. So let's look and see our two secants. So we already looked at our two secants, and we said, well, that's the same thing. If I take them to find the measurement of angle X, if I take 1/2 of my major arc, which is B, and subtract my minor arc from it, which is A, then I can get my angle measurement. But let's look at some of the segment relationships here. And let's see if I can get rid of this. Oh, shoot. I knew that was going to happen. Okay, let's see what we can do here. So we got, there we go. So one of the relationships that look at the lengths of the segments, if I take segment C, which is in green, okay, and I multiply that by the entire segment, which is C plus D, okay, what I will notice is it's proportional. It's the same as taking segment E and multiplying it by E plus F. So if I take the shorter segment, or in this case, it doesn't necessarily have to be the shorter segment. If I take C and I multiply that by the entire length of the entire segment, C plus D, that's going to equal E times E plus F. Okay, and in a couple of your problems you're going to have, so you're going to be looking at that relationship. So let's look at the relationship. Let's say we have a tangent and a secant. Okay, so if we have a tangent and a secant, to find x is the exact same way. The measurement of angle x equals 1/2 of my major arc, which is D, minus my minor arc. Exact same thing. And let's look at, let me see if I can quickly get rid of this black line there. There we go, good. All right, so for our segment relationships here, if I take segment A and I multiply that by the entire segment, which is A plus B, that's going to give me the same length as if I take segment C and square it. So if I take A times the entire segment, which is A plus B, it's going to be the exact same length as if I take C and square it. Okay, and then this is our tangent and our segment when it meets at the point of tangency. And we already looked at that earlier, and that's telling us the measurement of angle X equals 1/2 of arc AB. And we already talked about that. Likewise, the measurement of angle ABC is 1/2 of arc ADB. All right, so these are your secant, tangent, and arc relationships. So you'll use these to complete your homework. You'll notice your homework has 6 problems. They're due on Wednesday. You can use, there's also a hard copy of this on there so that you can take a look at it. If you have any questions at all, please make sure that you contact your teacher and email us however you want to, and we'll help you out there. So, all right, I hope you have a good day. I'll see you on Wednesday.